Another controversial topic. The new head of the Police Federation, John Apter, has confessed that police are wasting too much time investigating trivial social media rows instead of solving serious crime. This comes soon after South Yorkshire Police used their social media account to encourage the public to report what they ominously called non-crime hate speech. Yes, you heard that correctly. Hunting pre-crime, as if from Tom Cruise's futuristic film Minority Report. The police are now interested in your non-criminal speech. Meanwhile, violent crime has increased by 18% from the year before, while the number of criminal charges faced by offenders is falling, with legislation on the books that defines hate speech as hinging on a mere perception, even the perception from a third party. Police are bound, therefore, by a policy that forces them to pay attention to policing speech at the expense of policing actual crime. This is what happens when justice becomes more about politics than about policing. And with elected police commissioners worried about their next election victory, pandering to the mob may now sadly have become a policing priority.
God, I'm amazed by some of the things you've said.
Yeah.
Pre-crime,
yeah.
Non-crime hate.
And that's a direct quote.
I mean, given that something like 48% of crimes, they have to close the book on the crimes without identifying a suspect, that is absolutely scandalous. I mean, even before you said that, I've been concerned for a while about the way that historic sexual accusations have actually soaked up so much police crime. You know, online crime, fraud and all the rest of it. Is it because coppers like sitting around? I don't get it. I mean, why are they doing...
No, it's not the coppers' fault.
Can we just hear, before we go to Phil, from the Home Secretary on why they're focusing so much on online?
We all know that the so-called traditional crime is down by a third since 2010. But there are all sorts of other crimes which are being reported more than ever before, and this, of course, is putting huge demands on policing. Like hate crimes and child sexual abuse. The threat from terrorism, of course, we've sadly seen has escalated and evolved. And we also know that there are more and more victims of online crime. In fact, you're more likely to be a victim of online crime than offline crime.
I'd like to see the police focus on terrorism and violent crime and burglary. Phil?
And stabbings.
I do get this to a point, OK? Yeah. When you're looking at an enemy, just from a soldier's point of view, when you're looking at an enemy, you want all the intelligence and everything you can gather under one blanket so you can make your decisions. Where the police are losing here is they're not backed up to go out and do their jobs properly. And they're almost battered into the cage. They haven't got the right kit and equipment for the job, as far as I'm concerned. They haven't got the money for training. They need proper backup. OK, they are spending time online, and rightly so, because prevention is better than a cure. And if you can identify problems that are emanating online, you can stop them from spilling over into the wider public.
That's not the job of the police, though. Surely the online...
Well, you could argue that. No, you could argue that the police have to have some sort of intelligence. And they have to have some sort of...
It is intelligent. I completely agree with Phil. I think what you said was ridiculous, Maajid. With all due respect, I think you're presenting this, first of all, the idea that there's real crime, which is violent crime and burglary, and then there's online crime, which isn't proper crime.
That's maybe more serious
20 years
crime,
ago.
Afua.
There are more victims of online crime now than there are victims of offline crime. So that is serious crime. Secondly, you're presenting this as this kind of mutually exclusive. Either the police catch burglars and rapists, or they look at hate speech online.
I'm not.
The reason that we have seen a decrease in the policing of violent crime, which I agree is very serious, is because, and look at this statistic, police funding fell by almost a fifth over the 5 years to 2016.
And I don't dispute that either.
So presenting this as somehow because the police have lost it and are doing all this crime policing online...
Let me make this very clear. This is not the police's fault. The police haven't lost it, because I began by quoting the head of the Police Federation himself complaining about it. So kindly go and tell him he doesn't know what he's talking about. The problem here, as I made very clear in my introduction, if you were listening and were calm enough to hear what I said, the problem is politics, not policing, Afua. The problem is the policy in place, both on legislation, which obliges police to investigate things that there's a perception were offensive, even if by a third party. And then the second problem is the elected police commissioners, such as the elected police commissioner of South Yorkshire Police, who defended this. This is the specific tweet, and if you look at the specific wording, it says, please report non-crime hate incidents. And when asked about this, South Yorkshire Police doubled down. So if you look at the statement that they made in response when asked, it explicitly says the police can only prosecute when the law is broken, but we also want to know about non-crime hate incidents, and it says these may be often can feel like a crime.
It is ridiculous because I spoke to that bloke on the radio.
Exactly. They doubled down.
I cited, that's I think where they got the quote from. And I cited an example. If you cut me up in the road and I suggest that we don't know who your father was, the guy said he wants that reported. Seriously? That will be happening in the streets of Sheffield and Bradford and London.
Trivial level, but
no, he doubled down and said that. I heard the interview.
Totally support what Maajid said. We don't need the whole quote. Let's just tell you. The Police Federation chairman, John Apter, says at times they're getting called into arguments over the remote control and arguments on Facebook. This is ridiculous. I want to watch Sky News. Call the police.
Can escalate quickly.
Well, I'd call the police if my missus didn't want to watch us on the
I can see why you're all
pledge.
having fun with this, but the reality is, if it's a non-crime incident, the police have no jurisdiction
They don't have
to
a
do
choice.
anything
Why?
about
They have a
it.
choice.
They can't do anything
That's
about
what they said
That's
to Winston in 1984. Why am I surprised you are taking this stance?
Don't
Winston was
wave
told
Orwell
the
at me.
same
I'm the
thing.
queen of Orwell.
No, you're clearly not, because you're interested in pre-crime.
I'm not interested in pre-crime.
Let's calm it down and look at some
Ridiculous.
facts. Some of the facts are 9% of crimes resulted in a charge or summons. That's down something like 11%, OK? And that's because our police aren't backed up. It's not because they've wanted to look online and all that sort of stuff. But there is pettiness. There is pettiness.
Last Christmas...
And to be honest, if you're...
I gave you my heart.
Last Christmas, my car got broken into and everything in it got smashed. And we called the police and they took my coat, my wallet, my keys. We called the police and they were like, no, we don't really investigate those kind of crimes anymore. Are you seriously trying to tell me that's because they're running around after remote control?
Yes.
I found that tweet that South Yorkshire Police put up offensive. Now, is that now the definition of a non-crime hate speech, their own tweet? Because I found it offensive.
You know, I would defend your right to be offended.
Well, so no. Should I report their own tweet to them? This is how silly it becomes.
It is.
You're
It
Can
No, the
feeds on
PCC
itself.
defended his position on Nick's show.
This is my interpretation. I
He
can't
wouldn't
get
let
inside
go.
the head of
No,
South Yorkshire Police.
he doubled down because he
My
wanted votes.
interpretation is they're saying this is an area we have no jurisdiction to do anything about. We can't prosecute or investigate. But we would like to build up a picture to help us understand the environment of hate so that when crimes happen, it's in a context. That's basic intelligence gathering.
That's not what John Apter said.
There is loads of evidence that sophisticated policing comes out of intelligence gathering. In fact, it's old-fashioned policing that
Take it
works.
up with the head of the Police Federation. He's upset they're wasting time on this
That's
stuff.
probably because he's listening to people sensationalising it like you, Maajid.
I'm sure he knows
There's
his job.
intelligence gathering,
I'm
but
sure he knows his job.
sometimes within intelligence there's things that need acting upon and things that don't.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And the remote control is a good example. You don't need to be reacting on that, do you?
If the law has been broken, they have to investigate the crime. If there's no law has been broken, there's no crime.
Currently, the problem's the law itself as well. Non-crime. So when we talk about hate speech, it comes down to a perception, even by a third party, which is where they're getting this non-crime stuff from. They're saying if it feels offensive, report it, because the legislation is that vague.